Shalom. So, this video, I think I'm just going to go straight into chapter 15. Obviously, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments below. Hopefully, this will, we've covered all the little stuff you might want to be hearing. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 15. And it's going to be Brit Bein HaBetarim, which is the covenant between the pieces of Abraham. So the covenant of Abraham. In Hebrew, it's called the covenant between the pieces. Okay, so Genesis 15:1. Achar hadevarim ha'ele haya devar havaya el Avram במחזה לאמור אל תירא אברהם אנוכי מגן לך שכרך הרבה מאוד. Okay, interesting sentence. Starts off with achar, and actually I think we're going to read the Rashi on this. Well, we'll read the Rashi, but achar we've had many times. It means after, not incredibly, new. Ha devarim. So that's the article hey. Devar, like we said, can be to speak. That root dalet bet resh is we say it's the it's the harsher form of speaking, and or a davar is a thing, right? So same root, thing or to say. So ha devarim, things, right? It's in the masculine plural. Ha ele, and so ha ele. This type of thing shows up several times. I think we've had hazot, hazeh, which are the singular forms of the pronoun. This is the collective plural, these, right? Ele. And I think I'm not sure if there's a feminine form of ele. I don't think there is. So, achar hadavarim ha'ele. I think the masculine is also applies. I think ele is the same form for both masculine and feminine. I might be forgetting something, but okay. And that it means these things. It's specifying specifically these things, which is what happened in the previous chapter with the War of the Five Kings. Haya, that's the most simple form of the verb to be. The kal perfect, right? The simple past tense. So all three roots are showing up: hey, yud, and hey. So after these things were hayat. After these things, hayat davar, right? And that. So this is the singular of the same word, right? Devarim, right? We said these things, but here it's obviously talking in the about words, right? Devar havaya, the word of God, and devar is in the construct form. From the context, you can tell it's smichut with the tetragrammaton. El is the preposition with the aleph, not ayin. Avram is his name still. Be-machazeh. So the root here is het zayin hey, and so they're just saying it's the noun form. Machazeh, I guess, like we had ma'achal is food, right? comes from the verb to see. To eat. And this is chazeh from the word to see. It's a vision, right? We often refer to prophets, right? Chazon we refer to a chazon of, for example, I think the first few words of Ovadia is chazon Ovadia. But so chazeh, machazeh is a vision. So ba machazeh, the bet is the prepositional bet with the article because of the um, vocalization mark underneath it, ba machazeh, right? So in the vision, a specific vision, le'emor, and this is the infinitive of speaking. The root aleph mem resh, which is the softer form of speaking, saying le'emor. Al, this is not. It's often. I mean, the most common way of saying no is lo, but in the Bible, especially when God is telling people not to do something, He says al, right? He says do not. Al tira, and this is actually a very interesting sentence. Al tira, do not be afraid. So the root here is yud resh aleph, which is awe. It can mean awe in both the senses of awful and awesome, right? So the tough puts it in the second person masculine singular of the imperfect, right? So it's not the command form, but it's very similar. Al tira, do not be afraid. So yeah, the root is Yud Resh Aleph. Avram is his name. Anochi, I'm not sure if we've had Anochi before. I think we have. So there's two forms of the verb ani in Hebrew. And Anochi is a bit of a more formal way of saying I. And the Ten Commandments, for example, start with Anochi. So in Judaism, we actually refer sometimes to the giving of the Ten Commandments as Anochi, because that was the first word that God Himself said. Okay. Anochi Magen, and this is the first time I believe we've had this as Magen is a shield. It comes from the root Hey Gimel Nun, right? To shield, to protect. And Magen David, you may have heard of, is the Star of David. But actually, we often refer to God as Magen Abraham, as the shield of Abraham. So here God says, Ani Magen, I am your shield. The verb to be does not exist in the present tense in Hebrew, so you have to imply it. Lach, so that's the prepositional lamed. This is a little bit strange because it is the second person feminine singular, right? God is speaking to Avram, but he refers to him in the feminine, which happens sometimes. You can try to figure that out yourself, but that is in the feminine. Scharcha, and now it switches to the masculine. So sachar is a reward. Sin chaf resh. This is the noun. Scharcha, your reward, right? So the chaf at the end is the second person masculine singular. Your reward. Harbe. So they're saying this is the infinitive absolute. I would actually say that harbe is an adjective. That's how I know it. Um, but is great, right? The root is resh bet hey, which is to increase or be great. Harbe. Um, they're saying it's in the Hefil. I understand that. I'm not sure I agree. Me'od. So very much, exceedingly, they're translating. Um, it is very great. Harbe me'od. And we've had me'od many times. As usual, it is written bechisaron. Let's look at the King James. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision. See, the Hebrew is in the vision, which, if you're being literal, that's what I would say. Saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. So they're implying that, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this translation, but because the verb to be doesn't exist in the present form in the Hebrew, you could translate it that way. Let's see what NIV says. After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. So they're going like the King James. Let's look at the two notes. Or sovereign. Huh? What? I am your sovereign instead of shield. I'm not sure how they get Magen is a sovereign. Um, B or shield, your reward will be very great, right? So they're giving the other way of saying your reward will be very great, or your reward is great, is how I would do it. Um, I'm wondering why they're saying shield could be sovereign. Maybe it's in the Septuagint or something. I don't know. Let's let's look at the Chabad translation. After these incidents, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, "Fear not, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great." Unsurprisingly, I would go with Chabad. I wanted to read this Rashi because he says, so he says anytime that the word is achar without the yud, it signifies a short time, whereas achare is a long time. Um, after this miracle had been wrought for him that he slew the kings, he was worried and said, "Perhaps I have received all reward for all my righteous deeds." Right, and so God says to him, "Fear not, I am your shield." From punishment, that you will not be punished for all the souls that you have slain. And as far as you're being worried about your reward is exceedingly great. And apparently this is from the Medrash. Okay. So Rashi says achar means a short time later, immediately after, whereas acharei means a long time after. And here this is achar without the yod, so it's a shorter time. Okay, verse 2. Vayomer Avram, Adonai Elokim, ma titen li ve'anochi holech ariri, uven meshek beiti hu damesek Eliezer. Interesting. So this is the first time we've actually come upon this construction of of God's name. We'll get there. So it starts off conjunctive of, the yud puts it in imperfect, the vav flips it, so it's in the past tense. Amar is the softer way of saying to say. Avram is his name. And then, so this is how we say the tetragrammaton when it appears. And so the root aleph dalet nun means master, right? Adon is something we actually call people, right? But in this form, which is actually the masculine, it's the plural. It means my God, my masters in the plural. So that's how we refer to God. And when that happens, when we have the actual word adnut, right? We have the actual word which refers to God, which we use when we say the tetragrammaton, and it's immediately followed by the tetragrammaton itself, right? We actually then, instead of saying Shem Adnut, we say Shem Elokut, right? So if you were to hear this outside, it would sound like something we have on almost always. Havaya Elokim, right? The Lord your God, or Havaya Elokecha, right? The Lord God or the Lord your God, which shows up many, many times in the Bible. But this is written completely differently, okay? We are referring to God with the Shem Adnut, which is pretty rare, even though we say it a lot when we're reading the Bible. That's because we're substituting the tetragrammaton for the Shem Adnut, which doesn't show up very often. And so when we do that, when the tetragrammaton shows up right after it, then we use the Shem Elokut in order to not say the same word twice when we shouldn't. So the tetragrammaton is written as the tetragrammaton, but it's said as the Shem Elokut. Okay? I hope that's clear to everyone. Okay. Ma is interrogatory what? T10. So this is in the imperfect of latet, right? We've discussed the verb to give or to set. It's irregular. It's very irregular. But T10 is the second person masculine singular of the imperfect. What will you give? Right? Li is the prepositional lamed, and the yud puts in the first person singular. So what? Mati tenli, what will you give me? Ve'anochi. So this is the conjunctive vav again. They're translating as since, which actually I would agree with that, right? So anochi just means I, right? But here the conjunctive vav is kind of showing since makes sense, right? Although it's literally just, usually we would translate this and I, right? But here it makes sense to be since I. And that's part of what goes on with the vav. You have to remember that the vav depends greatly on the context, what exactly it means. Anochi, again, is the more formal way of saying I. Holech the root is Hey Lamed Chaf. We've had many times to walk, to go, right? We started with Lech Lecha, God tells him to go. And this is the participle form of the Kal. It is the present tense form. So, Anochi Holech Ariri. They're translating that as childless. Ein Resh Resh, you can look at your concordance. It's not, it doesn't show up very many times. This is the first time we've had it in the Bible. It shows up 4 times total, and apparently every time it refers to being childless, right? Do not confuse this with Aleph Resh Resh, which is to curse. So while I guess they're somewhat similar, they're completely different roots, right? Ariri is, so the root has to be Ein Resh Resh, but Ariri is putting it in an adjective form, masculine singular, and it only shows up 4 times in the Bible. And you can look in your concordance to see, and in all of them, it's the same form, right? Aririm, it's plural. Again, in Leviticus 20, it shows up twice in Leviticus 20, and then once in Jeremiah 22 in the exact same form. So you can look those up if you want to understand it better, but this is the first time. Uben, so again, conjunctive vav, ben meaning son, meshek beiti. So they're translating that as heir. Meshek, only time in the Bible it shows up of uncertain derivations. I'm wondering if Rashi explains what meshek means. He does. We'll take a look at the Rashis. He's basing it on aha. So yeah, that made sense to me. So Rashi is saying it's similar to what shows up in Genesis 41. The yud, the root yud shin kof, which is to provide, to sustain. I would kind of say meshek is from teshuka, like right to water we had previously, or even desire. I mean, you can try to figure it out. The one thing I will say is, and we're going to look at it, is so Meshek Beiti, Uven Meshek Beiti, and the son of the Meshek of my house, right? And this is all in one big smichut construction. Ben Meshek Beiti. So the son of the Meshek, and they're saying heir. I would kind of probably translate this as steward. Beiti, but the interesting part is Meshek looks a lot like Damesek, right? So Damascus in Hebrew is Damesek, right? It's Dalet Mem Sin Kof, and this is Men Mem Shin Kof. right? So there is kind of an alliteration with the word Damascus, right? So the son of the steward of my house, who Dameshek Eliezer. So the pronoun third person masculine singular here is being used as the present tense of the verb to be, which happens sometimes in Hebrew because we don't have a verb to be. So when you want to emphasize that where the is in the sentence, you use the pronoun there. Beti hu damesek Eliezer. He is the Damascene, the person of Damascus, Eliezer. Let's look at King James. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus. Okay, I can see that. NIV, but Avram said, Sovereign Lord. I actually like this better, Sovereign Lord, because it might better make you understand what's going on with the Shem Adnot and the Tetragrammaton. What can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus. So they're actually translating Dameshek as the thing. The meaning of the Hebrew for this phrase is uncertain. They're saying. Uven Meshek. Okay, so I guess what they're trying to say is Uven Meshek, meaning so son of is sometimes used to mean a person who is involved with. So you might, so they're saying that Meshek may refer to inheritance. So the person who's going to inherit my house is Eliezer, of Damascus. Okay, I mean I can kind of see that. Yeah, the word Meshek is. I almost want to say, look, there is the alliteration with Damascus, and that's why there's this strange. But this verse is not. I mean, it's not straightforward Hebrew. Let's see what Chabad. excuse excuse me. And Abram said, "O Lord God, what will you give me, since I am going childless, and the steward of my household is Eliezer of Damascus?" So Rashi is saying that Ariri, right? We said that childless. Menachem, who was a teacher of Rashi's, he talks about a lot. Explained it as meaning an heir. And a similar instance in Malachi 2:12, where a son is called heir, right? Ayin Resh. So Ariri, he's saying, therefore, is without a son. Hence, Ariri would mean without an heir, as you would say in Job 31:12, and it will uproot Tesharesh all my crops, meaning it will tear out its roots. Let me look at where what Rashi's saying. Malachi 2:12. Ki esh hi ad avadon tochel ubechol Tevuati tesharesh. I'm not sure why Rashi's bringing this verse. Tesharesh, this fire. Therefore, I refrain from it. When you speak of uprooting, you say tesharesh, and to express roots, he also uses tesharesh. So yishrashu is an explanation of okay. So I see. Okay. So what Rashi is saying is just as there, when you refer, you say you will root it, that can mean you create roots, and it can mean you uproot. So here it says ariri kind of means with a child, with a son, but it's also being used to say without a son. That's what Rashi's trying to say. Okay. Similarly, ariri means childless in Old French, des enfantes, I guess. Yeah. It appears to me, however, okay, so that's he was quoting Menachem of Saruk, Ben Saruk. Okay, it appears to me, however, that Erve Oneh is derived from the same root as Song of Songs, but my heart is libi air, right? My heart is awake, right? Whereas ariri is an expression of destruction, as in Psalm 137:7, Aru, Aru. So let's look at there, right? Zechor Havaya Livnei Edom et Yom Yerushalayim Ha'omrim Aru Aru Ad Hayesod Ba. So yeah, they're saying to take it apart. So that's in Psalm 137, verse 7. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. And as in Habakkuk 3:13, arot, destroying the foundation, and as in Jeremiah 51:58, shall be completely our air tit our air. Yeah. See, Rashi knows his stuff. And in Zephaniah 2:14, for the cedar work will be destroyed, era. So Rashi brings all these verses, and so it means in these other places, it means to basically to destroy. And I guess kind of here he's saying, and I am destroyed. So however you want to do that. Okay, Uben Meshek Beiti, Rashi is to be interpreted like the Aramaic version. And when we say the Aramaic, we mean Targum Onkelos. That's the translation to the Aramaic that everybody uses in Judaism. And so he translates it Uvar Farnasa Haden di Beiti. Ubar, and the Parnasa means to take care of, the sustainer. Haden di Beiti, and this person who is a right. So he's calling it Parnasa, the person who sustains. Yeah, I guess steward. It is very similar. My entire household is sustained by his orders, as in Genesis 41:40, right? And by your orders they will be sustained. Yishak, right? Ben Meshek means my administrator, but if I had a son, my son would be appointed over my possessions. Okay, Damascus, Hebrew Damascus, according to the this is Damascus, but according to the Agada, okay. He is and the Talmud actually does it differently. He drew Damascus. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to go into the Talmud and all that. You can look at the Rashis if you like. But yeah, the simple thing is he's from Damascus. Okay, verse 3. Vayomer Avram, hen li lo natata zara vehine ben beiti yoresh oti. Okay. So conjunctive vav, the yud puts it in the imperfect, gets flipped by the vav, and this is amar, aleph mem resh, the softer way of saying said. So, and said. Avram is his name. Hen, so, yeah, I mean, behold. Usually we say ha. Hen can also mean, I mean, it is an interjection. Um, it like Hineni, right? Um, I kind of would have expected a ha instead of a hen, but whatever. Hen, li. So look at me. Usually, I mean, I would have expected this to be Hineni. Hen li, kind of look at me. The thing is, I personally, in a sense, want to say Henley kind of it kind of it's similar to Tenley, give to me, right? And we're going to have the verb latet soon. Maybe we'll take a look at the Rashis, but the simple meaning is look at me, right? Henley, behold me. Li is prepositional lamed. Yud, it puts it in the first person singular. Lo natata, so lo is the normal way of saying not, or no. Natata is the call perfect of latet, to give, right? And we've discussed the verb to give. Here it's in the perfect, it's in the completed form. You have not given me. Zara, so the root is zayin resh ayin, which means seed. Here it means offspring, right? You have not given me seed or offspring. Vehine, so conjunctive of, and hine the is the normal form of that interjection. Ben Beiti, so, and indeed they're translating, but same interjection as Henley, right? Hine, and behold, I would usually translate it. Ben Beiti, a son of my household, that's how you would usually translate it, right? Because it's the word Ben, but it means a member of my household. That's very obvious. Ben Beiti, somebody who is in my household. Beiti, right? Beit is the house, and the yud at the end makes it my house, right? First person common singular. So Ben Beiti, literally the son in my household, but a son of my household. This is in the smichut. It is in the construct form. Um, but here it means a member of my house. Yoresh, right? So to, I believe the root is Yud Resh Shin. Is that what they're going to say? Yeah, Yud Resh Shin. This is the first time we've had it, Yerusha, right? To inherit. Shows up quite a bit in the Bible, actually. Yeah, let's see how many times. 231 times in the Bible, because inheritance is an important thing in the Bible. Okay. Yoresh is in the kal participle, the common form. It is written b'milui. It's written with a vav, which I would not have necessarily expected there, but it is written with a vav. Yoresh, oti. So oti. So et would be with me. Oti is the direct object marker, and the yud makes it me, right? So oti is me, is going to inherit inherit me, is going to be my heir, right? Inherit what is mine. Yeah, it would be et, and oti is almost always, I believe, pretty much always written bechisaron without the vav. Okay. King James and Abram said, "Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir." Yeah, okay. Not the most contemporary translation, but let's see what NIV says. And Abram said, "You have given me no children, so a servant in my house will be my heir." No, I don't like that. They're taking out the beholds, and they're, servant in my household. It doesn't say servant. It says a member of Ben. I mean, the King James says one born in my house. I don't think that's necessary. Ben Beiti, I think anybody who is a member of the household could be called a Ben Bait. Let's see what Chabad does. And Abram said, "Behold, you have given me no seed, and behold, one of my household will inherit me." Yeah, and I'm not gonna read the Rashis, because we would be here forever if we did all the Rashis. Vehine, so again, Vehine devar havaya elab le'emor lo yirashcha ze ki im asher yetze mimeinecha mimeyecha hu yirashcha. Okay. So, conjunctive of hine, again, behold, right? Davar Hashem. So this is the word of God again, right? With the tetragrammaton. So the word of the Lord of the tetragrammaton. Elav. So El is the preposition with the ayin, with the aleph, not ayin. Elav means to him, was upon him, right? Third person masculine singular. They're saying yes. Elav was upon him. Le'emor, right? Saying, this is the infinitive of Aleph Mem Resh, the softer way to say. Lo means not. Yirashcha, right? So, again, the root is Yud Resh Shin, as we said before. Yirashcha will not, it is in the imperfect, meaning the incomplete, right? Or the future tense of the Hebrew. Yirashcha will not inherit you, shall not be your heir, right? Second person masculine singular with a chaf at the end. This is written by Milui again with a Milui Yud. Ze, this, right? So God was actually pointing out Elazar, saying he's not going to be the one, right? So Ze is this one there. Yeah, I agree with that. Pronoun masculine singular. Ki, which we usually translate because, but here it's obvious that it's but, right? It's, you have to translate these in context. Ki im, it's very, so im usually means if, but here again as a conjunction, it's ki'im. It's saying no. That's not what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So they're translating as but rather. These, yes, that's how I would translate ki'im as well here. Two interjections, right? Two conjunctions. Sorry. This is aim with the aleph, which means if, not aim with the ayin, which means with. Okay, asher is the pronoun relative. Yetze, so the root is letset. I would say tzadi aleph hey, and the hey has absconded. That's how I would do it. The yud at the beginning, like they're saying, is the imperfect. I agree with that. What will come, right, is the imperfect. Mi meyecha. So prepositional mem at the beginning. So me'echa, I think that's me'ayim. Me'ayim is how you say me'a. They're saying internal organs. We usually translate it as intestines, I think. Me'echa. It does seem it's in the plural, I think. Yeah, and they're saying it's also masculine plural. And the chaf at the end is second person masculine singular, so from your guts, I would translate your intestines from your guts. That's what I would do it. Mime'echa, who. So again, the pronoun, the third person masculine singular, is being used kind of as the verb to be. Kind of. No, I guess the verb is yirashcha. Who yirashcha? It's saying the one who comes out of your body. They're translating mime'echa hu yirashcha. So the root again is the yud resh shin, but this is in the imperfect. And it's bemilui. I would say it's bemilui yod. It's written completely with two yuds at the beginning right there. Yirashcha, and the chaf at the end is the second person masculine singular. He will be your heir, right? He shall inherit you. Okay. King James, and behold, the word of God, the Lord, came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels, I'm not sure about the own, shall be thine heir. Okay? NIV, then the word of the Lord came to him, this man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. Ooh, taking liberties there. Okay. Chabad, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, this one will not inherit you, but the one who will spring from your innards, he will inherit you. So Chabad being more literal than the others, which is my tendency as well. Okay. Vayotze oto hachutza vayomer habet na hashamayma usfor hakochavim im tuchal lispor otam vayomer lo Kol yeh zaracha. Okay. So this is interesting. We just had Yotze, right? That goes out, right? What comes out of your your innards, your guts, shall. And here again, it's alliterating, right? I think it's really important to realize that the Bible is poetic. It is in the Hebrew. So conjunctive vav. Yotze, again, the root here is Tzadik Aleph Hey, I would say. And this, they're saying Yifil, Hifil, which is the causative, Vayotze Oto, and he caused him to go out. I mean, that makes sense. I'm not, hmm. It's written Bemilui Vav with the Vav there. Let's look at this in the constructor. Um, I want to say they are so. This has the root as Yud Tzadik Aleph, whereas I generally would say that the root is Tzadik Aleph Hey. Um, let's look at the constructor here. Let me see. So Yotze, well, let's say Tzadik Aleph and Hey. That's what I want to say, right? And in the he field, right? And Yatsa. The Hey is staying. Let's do Yud Tzadik Aleph. So Yud Tzadik Aleph in the he field. Yotzi with the Yud there, and the imperative they're saying Hotzi. Interesting. Let's actually put that verb in the poel. Let's see. Yotze. That's how I would do it. In the present of, if you're going to say that the root is Yud Tzadik Aleph, you could say in the present. That seems to make sense to me. You could see. I mean, you can play with the constructor and try to figure out the root. Caused him to get out. You might also say that the root is actually Hey Tzadik Aleph, but you can play with that if you want. Vayotze Oto, caused him to go out, right? Oto, like I said, Ito would be with him. Oto is the direct object marker, third person masculine singular. Vayotze Oto Hachutza, and he made him go out, Hachutza, right? This is the article, but it's actually kind of, I mean, it is kind of a directional, right? Hachutza. So chutz means outside, right? And we've had that before, chutz meaning outside, and it is. Excuse me. It is written ben milui vav. So chutz means outside. Chutza, the hey at the end, they're saying third person feminine singular. That's just wrong. This is the directional hey. So towards the outside, right? He made him go outside, basically. Vayomer had this so many times. Conjunctive vav, Yud puts it in the imperfect, and the root amar to say in the simpler form. Habet, right? And this is the imperative. This is he feel imperative, they're saying, which, yeah, that's what I would say. The root is bet tet hey, and I'd say the hey at the end has absconded. That's, I believe, because no, they're saying the root is nun bet tet. This does show up several times. I mean, in the Bible, 69 times in the Bible. Two of the two roots are clear. It's the bet and the tet, and this is clearly in the command form. And I think it is correct that it's in the he fill. I believe that hey at the beginning is part of the construction. And you can, I mean, if you're interested in this particular root, what form of 2C it is, because it isn't the normal way we say 2C, right? Usually we use resh aleph hey, which is the more common. We often call this glance, translate this as glance. So habet na, they're translating it as now. We usually translate this interjection as please, right? Like Rafana Allah, right? God, please heal her. Kelna Rafana Allah, please God, please help her or heal her. So God says please to Abraham. Interesting. Ha Shamaima. So again, just like Hachutza, this is exact same thing. Hashamayim, Shamayim means heavens. It's always in the plural in the Hebrew. Ha Shamaima, again with the article at the beginning and the directional hey at the end, just like we said Hachutza, towards the outside, this is towards the heavens, right? Look up. Uspor, so conjunctive vav, the root is sin pe resh, which this is in the imperative. I would say it's in the command form. It is written without the vav. Bechisaron, it's written lacking. Uspor and count. It's very clear that this is being used as count. Sefer is a book, but more like accounts. So spore and count. Ha kochavim. So the hey is the article. Kochav is a star, and this is kochavim, which is the masculine plural. Kochav, I believe, is always masculine. Yeah. Kochavim is stars, and this is written bemilui. I wouldn't have expected it to be written this completely with the vav and the yud, but it is very much written in its completeness, which makes sense. Im tuchal. So im, we just discussed that conjunction. Usually it's if, and here it's obviously if. Tuchal, right? The root here, I would say, is yud chaf lamed, to be able to. Tuchal, call imperfect second person masculine singular. Tuchal. Well, yeah, I mean, we agreed. Yuchal was in Genesis 13. Tuchal, yeah, so, okay, yes, okay. So tuchal, the taf, puts it in the imperfect. Im tuchal, if you are able. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I will agree with that. I want to say this is hufal though. Right? We discussed hufal. It's the passive form of the causative of the hefil. You can look up the hufal if you're interested, but it means if you are able. And it is written be milui vav. It is written with a vav, which is not surprising. Lispor, right? Again, it's the same root, but here in the infinitive, the root is sin pei resh, written bechisaron, as you would expect. Otam, right? So, itam would be with them. Otam, it's the direct object marker, and the mem is the third person masculine plural. If you are able to count them, okay. Va yomer. So conjunctive of yud puts it in imperfect. The root amar, the softer form of saying to say. Lo is prepositional lamed. The vav is the third person masculine singular. So he said to him, "Ko, this way, right? Ko is it actually shows up a bit in the Bible, I believe. Yeah, it does. 576 times. This ko in this way. Yeah. So this is the imperfect, the future tense of the verb to be in the third person masculine singular. Yeah, and this shows up a lot. Zar echa, your seed, your offspring, right? Zera, Zain Resh Ayin. We just had your seed, your offspring, and that's in the second person masculine singular. Okay, let's see what King James does with verse 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, abroad. Okay, maybe that's okay. And said, look now toward heaven, and tell the stars. No, I would not, unless tell used to mean something else. If thou be able to number them, it's obviously the exact same, right? Spore, right? Exact same word, so I don't know why they're translating it in two different ways. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. Okay. Verse 5, he took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. Then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Let's look at the note. Or seed. Yeah. Let's look at Chabad. And he took him outside and he said, please look heavenward and count the stars if you are able to count them. And he said to him, so will be your seed. And you can look at the Rashis if you want. And here, I think this is the first time this, so this is a famous verse. I think this is the first time the word to believe shows up in the Bible. Maybe next time I will talk about the word emunah and amen. So this is the root aleph mem nun. Well, let's read the verse. Vehe'emin bahavaya Vayachshava, yachshaveha. Oh, yeah. Vayachshaveha lo tzedakah. Okay. So, conjunctive vav, the root is aleph mem nun, which you may recognize from the word amen, right? Which kind of means I believe. So this is the word that usually, the root that usually in Judaism is translated um, as faith, right? And here, vehemin, it's in the hifil, written bechisaron, written without the vav there, yud there, sorry. And he caused him to believe. Vehemin. This is in the causative, bahavaya. So that's very interesting. So it's, right, ma'amin, ani ma'amin, I believe, right? We say in Judaism, ani ma'amin, I believe. I make it my faith. So vehe'min, he makes his faith, his belief. Emunah, right, is faith. Interesting. Obviously, you can use your concordance, how exactly this means, but it is in the causative, and I kind of sort of wish that the yud was there, but it's not, and I think oftentimes it's not when we talk about hemin. Right, ba havaya. So this is the prepositional bet with the article. They're not showing that it's with the article, but it's with a patach underneath it, which I would say is with the article, although it's hard to say with the Shem Havaya if that's just because of how we say it. I'm guessing that's why they are not saying there's the article there, right? And he caused to believe in God. What exactly that means? Vayachshveha. Okay, so the root here is het shin bet. Okay, and het shin bet is to think, to calculate, to oftentimes we say calculate, right? Cheshbon is an accounting, right? An accountant in Hebrew is called a ro'eh cheshbon, somebody who looks at your cheshbon, and a computer actually is called a machshava. Machshav, sorry, machshav. Machshava is a thought. So vayachshev. So this is in. They're saying it's in the kal, imperfect. Okay, I'll take that. Of third person masculine kal, and it was thought, right? That hey at the end is it's literally it means her. She was counted, but this emunah, right? This thing that happened here, that he believed in God, right? It's being referenced in the feminine. Vayachshaveha, and it was thought to be, it was accounted. Lo. I almost don't want to say that this. They have a they're implying that Hashem was the one who's doing here, and I'm not sure about that. I kind of want to say this may even be in the passive voice. We'll look at the translations. Lo, to him, right? Prepositional lamed vav is the third person masculine singular. Tzedakah. What exactly tzedakah means? So tzadik daled qof, right? That's the root. Righteousness, right? Actually, in Judaism, when we just say the word tzedakah, we actually refer to it as it's actually charity. And it's funny that we refer in Hebrew to charity as tzedakah, as righteousness. It's kind of like what they deserve. It's kind of euphemistic use, but tzedakah is the noun form, noun feminine singular, tzedakah. And you can look up tzedakah in the concordance. It does show up quite a bit. Yeah, tzedakah, 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 tzedakah. It shows up 157 times. That's a lot. Yeah. What exactly tzedakah means, right? And it was accounted to him, tzedakah. Let's look at the King James, verse 6. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. So they're not using a capital he. So they're saying that both of those is Abram. Okay. NIV. Abram believed the Lord. I would put in the Lord. And he credited it to him as righteousness. Yeah, I mean, again, not a capital he, right? So they're, unless they weren't thing. Chabad. And he believed in the Lord, and he accounted it to him as righteousness. So, yeah, that's what Rashi says. Let's go ahead and read this Rashi here. Accounted it to him as righteousness. The Holy One, blessed be He, accounted to Abram as a merit and as a righteousness for the faith that he believed in him, and that is based on Targum Yonatan, which is the other Targum that is well known, the other translation to Aramaic. Another explanation for how will I know? He did not ask him for a sign, but he said unto him, let me know with what merit will they remain therein in the land. Okay, you can look at those if you want. Okay. But Rashi clearly believes that second one, that God is the one who's doing it. So you have to decide if you're going to capitalize that he or not. Okay, verse 7. Vayomer alav ani havaya asher hotzeticha me'ur kastim latet lecha et haaretz hazot lerishta. Okay. So, Vayomer we've had a bunch of times. It's a softer way of saying to say. Elav, this is to him, the preposition with the aleph, not ayin. Ani, so this is the less formal way of saying I. Havaya is the tetragrammaton. Asher is the pronoun relative, who, right? Hotzeticha. Okay, so they're saying Hefil. I agree. The root I would say is Tzaddik Aleph Hey. Brought you out, right? Caused you to come out. Again, it's written with Milui Vav and Yud here. It's written completely. Hotzeticha, who brought you out. And this actually shows up a lot when we talk about Yetziat, the escape from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, right? Asher hotzeticha mior kastim, who caused you to come out of, right? That chaf at the end. So hotzeti, the yud is I. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of disagree with them. No, I don't think this is in the Hefil. Hotzeti. No, okay, it is in the Hefil. Okay, Hotzeti, Yetzi'ah, right? The tough yud puts it in the perfect first person common singular, like they're saying. Yeah, I caused you. Hotzeti means I caused to come out. Hotzeticha means I caused you to come out. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Me or kastim. So prepositional mem or kastim is the name of a place. It's in 2 words. Or of the Chaldeans. Latet, like we said, the verb to be is, this is the infinitive of it, and it is, excuse me, it is not in, it's a very irregular verb. Lecha, prepositional lamed, chaf means second person masculine singular, to you. Et is the direct object marker. Haaretz, the land. We've had aretz many, many times. Hazot. So, haaretz hazot, right? This particular land, right? It is, I would say, in the smichut. But zot, like I said before, with ele, the pronoun is being used to say this particular one, and zot is the feminine because eretz is feminine. And as usual, it's written without a vav. Le rishta, so la reshet is, so we had yirash. Okay. So, okay. If you're going to say that there is a root, resh shin he, which means to possess, you can say that the hefil form of that, right, laharish, would be laharish. No, that wouldn't be laharish. Lareshet. So, I mean, obviously this is related to Yerusha, right? Which the inheriting that we discussed before. So the resh and the shin is to possess, lereshet ota, right? To possess it, and lirosh with the yud at the beginning would be to inherit. Yeah. So inherit and possess, these are related roots, obviously. How exactly you're going to do the roots, good luck. But so Lareshet ota, this could be Lareshet ota in 2 words. To, the verb to possess, and the hey at the end means her, speaking about the land, which is in feminine, right? Larishta. To possess it. verse 7, and he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit it. Okay. NIV, he also said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it. Yep, okay. So King James is saying inherit. Yeah, see, it's related, but it's they're related verbs, but either they're the same verb in different binyanim, in different formations, right? Or they are two words from the same two-letter root, which kind of became a different three-letter roots, one meaning to possess and the other meaning to inherit. Again, linguistics thousands of years later were making a lot of rules which didn't necessarily exist many, many years ago. Okay, let's see how Chabad does this. And he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you forth from Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it. And as always, Chabad does a good job with the capitalizations. Okay, next verse. Vayomar Adonai Elokim Bama Eda Ki Irashena. Okay, so again, we have that strange. So Vayomer, we've had a bunch of times. It's the soft form of said. Again, we have that same construction of that the NIV did sovereign God, right? That we talked about at the beginning. Same exact construction, right? So Abraham is here. He's still Abraham, and he spoke to God in the same way as we had earlier in the chapter, right? So this is master, right? And this is the tetragrammaton, but it's pronounced like Shem Elokut when it's read. Ba-ma, so prepositional bet with the article. Ma is the interrogatory what. So ba-ma means with what. Eda, so the root I would say is a daled ayin hey, to know. And we've spoken about that a lot, what exactly it means, which form of knowledge da'at is. But this is eda. It's the imperfect first person common singular, meaning it is I will know. Okay, it's in the imperfect. It's in the future tense. Ki, usually I translate ki as because, but here it's obviously that, right? In context, irashena, and this is again that same root, possibly I would say yud resh shin, right? To possess. Same root we were discussing before as far as inherit and possess. You can play it with it in the constructor, try to figure out how exactly you want to do it. But irashe, it could have been irasheha, right? This is it. It's a little bit more of a formal way of saying her, referring to land. Sometimes I think this nun I forget what they call it, but it's kind of a poetic nun there. It's a yeah. I mean, this is a word that's a little bit extended, I would say. I mean, it's bemilui yud, and there's that nun there, which didn't have to be there, right? I will possess it. Let's look at King James, verse 8. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? Okay. NIV, but Abram, so they translate it as but. That's up to you. Abram said, Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain a possession of it? Yeah, I prefer that. Let's look at Chabad. And he said, O Lord God, how will I know that I will inherit it? I like how NIV does it, Sovereign Lord, because it helps us understand what's going on with that strange construction of the names. Okay, and here comes the Brit Bein Habetarim. Okay. Vayomer, again, we've had many times, the softer form of the word to say, sorry. Elav, this is the preposition with the aleph, not ayin. So he said to him, Kecha. So they're saying that, mm, mm, I don't like their morphology here. What we would expect here is kach, right? Kach, which shows up, take, right? Lakachat. We've discussed lakachat. Usually the hay absconds. There's a hay there. They're trying to say that the hay refers to a third person feminine singular, right? Because afterwards it's going to let's say the verse. I don't think I've read the verse to you yet. Vayomer elav kecha li egla meshuleshet ve'ez meshuleshet ve'ayil meshulash ve'tor va'gozal. Okay, so you could say that kecha, the hay, is referring to egla, right? Take it, right? Take. I don't like that. I actually want to say that hay is more of a poetic hay. Kechali, right? Take to me, for me. Li, prepositional lamed, the yud is first person singular. Kechali, I would say it's just a poetic hay, which does show up sometimes. And remember, you can look at all the forms here. I don't necessarily agree with them, with the various parts of speech, but it's actually it's a good way of learning what the various parts of the Hebrew is to go through this. Obviously, I don't agree with them. So there's this paragogic hay, suffix paragogic hay, can be attached to an imperative verb and most likely expresses some kind of added emphasis to the verb. However, the specific nature and meaning of this emphasis is unknown, right? It's like it's a poetic hay, and I think that's what's going on here. That's how I would interpret it. Kecha li, right? Egla. So egel is masculine. Ayin Gimel Lamed. So a cow, I guess, so this is the animal is well, heifer. We usually refer to para aduma is the red heifer. Egla. So egel is actually the the calf, the golden calf is egel in the masculine. Egla is feminine. They're translating it as a heifer. You can look at all the places where egel and egla show up uh, in the concordance. But it's particularly a female one. Meshuleshet. Okay. Now this is a very interesting word. Meshulash. So this is it's made into the feminine singular because egla is feminine, right? And we're going to have this word basically 3 times in the verse. When it's with egla, which is feminine, it's meshuleshet. When it's ez, which despite the fact it doesn't have a hey at the end, is a goat, but it's in the feminine. Meshuleshet, right? I wonder if ez is feminine, goat. I'm not sure how male goats are referred to. Not sure. If you're interested in goats particularly, you can look at that. But as meshuleshet, right? So again, we have the meshuleshet form, and then ayil meshulash. Ayil being masculine, meshulash is the masculine form of this same word, right? And meshulash, right? And this shows up actually more times in the Bible than you would expect. Meshulash. So shin lamed shin is the root meaning 3. So echad shtayim shalosh is 1 2 3. Shalosh, right, is 3. Shalish means thirds. Shuleshet, meshuleshet. It can mean 3 times, right? We talk about the chut meshulash. I forget where it comes from, but we talk about it a lot. It's the thrice woven string, right? Chut meshulash. This is so meshulash either means cut into thirds, which is what I would say is what's going on here, or meshulash could mean 3 times, right? Kaful means, yeah, I mean it's in the pual participle. So the pual, right? Stem pual, right? Is the passive form of the PL, which is the more intensive, right? This is the pual. So it's the passive of the intensive, passive intensive. Meshuleshet. So here I believe it means cut into thirds. and as we'll see, it's where this is the Brit Bein Habetarim. This is the covenant between the pieces. But this is Meshuleshet, 3-year-old. I doubt that's how it's going to be translated. But the 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 thirds, right? It's a egla, right? A heifer, however you're going to translate that, which has been either cut into three or 3 times, right? And Meshuleshet, as you would expect, is without the vav. It's written bechisaron. It's incomplete, right? So egla meshuleshet, ve'ez meshuleshet. So conjunctive vav again, as is goat, right? Meshuleshet. The ayil is a ram, right? Um, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Meshulash, right, is the masculine form of the same. So yeah, conjunctive vav, ayil, and meshulash. So however you're looking at that, vetor. So conjunctive vav, tor, they're translating as turtle dove. It's some sort of bird, and it's written without a vav. I think that's normal. I don't know how many times tor shows up in the Bible. Quite a bit. 14 times. That's quite a bit. Vet gozal. And a gozal, they're translating as young pigeon. Gez gozel shows up twice in the Bible. Al gozlav. Right? Young pigeon and nestling. Yeah. I think that in Deuteronomy 32, if you're interested, you should probably go look there. That's kind of interesting in Deuteronomy 32. I would take a look. And Gozal and whatever Gozal is, it's masculine singular, and it's written bemilui vav. It has the vav, which I guess in the other places it's also with the vav, which is written fully. Okay, let's look at the King James, verse 9. And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So they are translating it as 3 years old, Meshuleshet. Okay. NIV, so the Lord said to him, bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Okay, let's see what Chabad says. And he said to him, take for me 3 heifers and 3 goats and 3 rams and a turtle dove and a young bird. So let's see. Rashi's saying Meshuleshet is 3 because it's referring to the 3, based on the Genesis Rabbah, the 3 bulls that are okay. So there are 3 times when an eglah is used in the sacrifices. On Yom Kippur, on Helam Davar, when the Sanhedrin makes a mistake, and Eglah Arufah, which is a a heifer whose neck is broken. You can look those up. So he's saying it's 3. Symbolic of the he-goat that is sacrificed inside the additional offering. So he's telling, based on the Genesis Rabbah, it's based on those various sacrifices that are given at various times. So the King James and the NIV are saying that it's 3-year-old, and Rashi is saying there's 3 of them. Although usually, if you're going to say there's 3 of them, that's not how you would say it. So, okay. I can understand why they're saying 3 years old. I was actually thinking it was a single one. Yeah, because I guess I understand. Yeah, threefold. Meshuleshet, it just makes me think maybe it was split into 3 pieces. That's how I thought when I first read it. Let's see. Next verse. Vayikach lo et kol ele vayivater otam batavech vayiten ish bitro likrat re'ehu ve'et hatzipor lo batar. Interesting. Okay, so now you can see why this is called Brit Bein Habetarim, right? See, it makes sense to me that when God, well, no, he splits it into 2. So why, how exactly, what exactly Meshuleshet means, maybe we'll get further on, and you can stew on that if you like. So, conjunctive vav, the yud usually puts it in the imperfect, but of course it's being flipped by that vav. Kach is to take, we've discussed it before. Lo, they're saying to him, and they're capitalizing it so that it refers to God. So he took for God. I can see why they say that, but actually, my first impression would be that it would be, and he took for himself. Et is the direct object marker. Kol, meaning all. Ele, these, right? Vayivater otam. So the root here is bet tet resh. It's not a common root in the Bible. It only shows up in Genesis 15, right? And it shows up twice in the same verse, and that's the only place where it shows up. That's why this is called Brit Bein Habetarim. So, and he cut them, right? Okay. I mean, it's in the imperfect. It's being flipped by the vav. He otam, right? So the direct object marker, third person masculine plural because there was a masculine in there, right? Batavech, they're saying down the middle. So bet is the prepositional bet with the article. Tavech is, I guess, from toch, right? Which means the insides, midst, right? We talk a lot about toch, right? Which means inside, right? Right. So as Genesis 1:6, betoch hamayim, there shall be, right? Toch shows up a lot. Tavech is not something, shows up in Genesis 15. I'm not sure I've seen Tavech ever before in that form. I mean, in other places. it's related to toch, right? Meaning in the middle of, but it's a curious way of putting tavech, right? So they're saying down the middle. See, vayivater otam betavech. I still want to say that he cut them into 3 pieces, even though it says down the middle. I can understand that, but I want to say he cut them into 3 pieces. That's what it seems to me. Vayiten ish bitro. That's a very strange way of putting it, right? Okay, so vayiten, to put, to give, right? It's in the imperfect, gets flipped by the vav. Ish. They're saying translate. They're saying each, right? And sometimes ish, which means man, right? Ish bitro, and gave. So ish al re'ehu, sometimes we'll say man to his brother, and we mean each man, right? Very, no thank you. Very, I want to see the Rashi on this. Ish bitro, right? So again, it's the same root, bet taf resh, right? The piece, right? He gave each man his piece. Interesting. Likrat re'ehu, right? So ish lerehu, we talk about man to each. I guess he had helpmates. Ish vitro likrat re'ehu. Likrat, they're saying, is opposite, right? I see. Okay. Interesting. So this is kind of a it's almost a 4-letter root, right? The root is Kof Resh Aleph, which is to call. But this is Likrat, and Kra, meaning to greet, right? Actually shows up quite a bit in Hebrew. I don't know if it shows up many times in the Bible, but it certainly shows up in Hebrew. Krat. We had it. Oh, we had it in Genesis 14, again in Genesis 18. Yeah, it shows up a lot. So it's kind of like a 4-letter root. Yeah. Actually, how many times? 100 occurrences. I did not expect that, but likrat, to greet. Yeah. So guess it's just a very commonly used, right? Because kriya means to call someone, krat, right? Yeah, likrat re'ehu, to meet, to, right? Ish bitro likrat re'ehu, to, they're translating as opposite. Likrat usually means to greet, right? We say likrat kala, right? To greet the Sabbath bride on Friday nights, right? Yeah, likrat re'ehu, the other, right? Ish le're'ehu is a common construction, right? Man to his, literally it means man to his neighbor, but each to the other is not a bad way of translating that. It's just very strange to talk about the pieces as ish le're'ehu. Re'ehu, right? Resh al ayin hey is a Rea is a friend, companion, or fellow, and it shows up quite a bit in the Bible, right? Including in the Ten Commandments, lo tachmod, right? Um, Likrata re'ehu, very interesting. Ve'et hatzipor, so conjunctive of et is the direct object marker. Hatzipor, tzipor is usually actually written with the vav, I believe. Here it's written without the vav. And the, right, has the article. Tzipor is a bird, it's masculine bird. Although there were two birds. Um, yeah, I guess it's kind of referring to them as, right, both as birds. That does happen in Hebrew, whereas usually in English we'll put something in the plural to refer to that kind. In the Hebrew, it's in the singular. Lo batar, he did not cut into or cut. Um, okay. King James, and he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. Okay, NIV. And Abram brought all these to him, cut them in two, and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. Okay, let's see what and there's a long Rashi here. And he took for him all these. So they're actually translating it, took for God. See, I just don't know sometimes when the King James and the NIV if they're referring to God or not, because they don't always capitalize he and him. But they're definitely saying ve'kach lo is he. So Abram took for God, and he divided them in the middle, and he placed each part opposite its mate. But he did not divide the birds, right? Rashi is saying ve'yivater, he divided each one into two parts, because he was forming a covenant. To cause the sunset. What is it said? כדכתיב ביום לאמור בדרך קראתי. Aha. Okay, so Rashi seems to be saying here that a more spiritual way of looking at it is it's talking about Brit, right? It's because Yevater is the same letters as a Brit, as a covenant. So he seems to be saying that, in Judaism we have this thing where, something is the same letters, that we say there is some form of relation, even though obviously the simple meaning is the meaning. There's the thing, but yeah. Okay, then that's another agadic one you can look at. Yeah, I mean, it's a interesting way of saying it. I'm wondering if the Kabbalistic, I almost want to look this up in the Orach Chaim on Sfaria. I would personally, I think maybe when I have time and I think about it, I'll go look at the Orach Chaim one here. Okay. Vayered ha'ait al ha'pegarim vayeshev otam Avram. Vayashev. Okay. So conjunctive of Yered we've had before. The root is Reish Dalet Hey to come down, right? And the Hey at the end has absconded. Third person masculine singular, right? Ha'ayit. They're translating ayit as vulture. Makes sense to me. I am not a great. I don't know the various Bible birds. It shows up 8 times. It's a predatory bird, definitely. You can look at the other verses, but so ha'ayit, they're translating as the vultures. Like I said before, with hatzipor in the Hebrew, the singular is how you refer to that type, right? But ha'ait, right? The vulture, whatever an ait is. Al is the preposition with the ayin, not aleph. Ha-pegarim, right? Peger, pe gimel resh. They're translating carcasses. Oftentimes we refer to corpses as peger. But ha-pegarim, the carcasses, there is a death. It is the first time that Peger shows up, but corpses, dead, right? So, you can look in your concordance if you want. But the carcasses, ha-pekarim, vayashev, right? They're saying it's in the hefil, caused to turn back, right? Let's say the root here could be hey shin bet. Obviously, shin bet is 2 of the letters. I think we've discussed how to turn, to return, to drive away, to settle, right? All of these can be related roots. So there's the shin and the bet, and then whatever you say. The third one is vayashev otam. He made them turn back. He drove them away. Otam, right? Itam would be with them. Otam is them. It's the direct object marker. Third person masculine plural. And that's how we know there were lots of birds, because it says otam Avram. So Avram made the birds go away. Verse 11. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. Okay. NIV. Then birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. Okay. Chabad. And birds of prey descended upon the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. And Rashi gives other places where Ait shows up, and apparently in those other places, Ait is not necessarily. Well, no, this is. So he's giving places where it is used as a verb. Im anyot eva yatush. Not sure why he says yatush here. Oh, okay. So in Iyov it's latush, but here it's ta'at. similar to Samuel, 1 Samuel 15:19, where this also shows up. Lama lo shomrim kol ha'veta'at el hashalal v'ta'ash. Aha. So this verse actually has both of them. Very interesting. So you can look at those verses if you would like. Pegarim, and Rashi again gives verses for what Pegarim means, despite. I mean, you can look at those. We're not going to do all the Rashis. Vayeshev, blowing and causing away. Yeah, so this is Rashi is says that this is like in Psalms 147:18, where the same way is used. And he's actually saying that this is an allusion that David, the son of Jesse, right? Because Ben Ishai, right? Ben Ishai, the son of Jesse, is Yeshev, like Yeshev, Lachalotam. Interesting. Okay. You can look at that Rashi if you like. But, okay. Verse 12. Vayehi hashemesh lavo, vatardema nafla al Avram, vehine ema chashecha gedola nofelet alav. Interesting. Okay. So, conjunctive vav, yehi, right? And it was, right? Vayehi hashemesh, right? So, hashemesh lavo. So lavo bet vav aleph, that is the infinitive of going, right? And the shemesh was going, and when ha shemesh, the article shemesh is sun, lavo, and when the bo usually means come, but they're saying it was going down. When the sun was coming, usually actually it means, but Vehi hashemesh lavo. It might even be dawn, but they're saying when the sun goes down. I'm not sure. Probably Rashi says Vatardema. So conjunctive vav tardema. So resh dalad mem is slumber. Actually, like yeah, it's slumber. They're translating it as a deep sleep, right? Tardema, slumber. Yeah, I mean, this is a noun, and it's a feminine noun. I wonder how many times tardema shows up in the Bible. Your concordance has it 7 times, right? Lethargy, trance, deep sleep, from the root resh dalad mem, right? Okay, you can look at that if you want. But sleep, nafla. So because tardama is feminine, nafla. So the root is nun pe lamed, which means to fall. Nafla is the perfect of to fall. In the feminine, because tardama is feminine. Al is the preposition with the ayin. Avram is his name. Vahine, so conjunctive of hine is behold. We've had that several times. Eima. So Eima is terror, right? Eima yetera. It shows up. I mean, I think the root is aleph. Memhe. Ayom. They're saying maybe the root is Aleph Yud Mem. Ema. I mean, it shows up quite a bit. Ema. Amim. Shows up 17 times in the Bible. Most of them in the exact same form. It's a terror, horror. Yeah, it's not awe. It's not yira, which we usually when we talk about fear of God and stuff. You can look in the concordance for this particular one. Aleph Yud Mem may be the root. I could believe that. I could agree to that. There's definitely an Aleph and a Mem. What else there is Ema, right? And it's in the feminine. Chashecha. So the root is obviously Chet Shin Chaf, which means darkness, right? Chasha, that is the root for darkness. Chashecha is darkness. Is the noun form of it. So Ema chashecha vehine ema chashecha gedola. I would say this is all. These three words are all together. A dark terror, a great dark terror, right? Gedola, from the root Gimel Daled Lamed, which means to grow or to be great, right? And it's without the vav. Ema, yeah, and Gedola is without the vav, which is normal. Nofelet, so this is the participle form. As expected, the vav isn't there. It usually isn't in the kal, in the easy form, right? Fell, right? So this ema chashacha gedola, great dark fear fell upon him. Nofelet fell. Well, it's in the present tense, so falls. This is the participle. It's the present tense. Alav is the preposition with the ayin, not aleph, and alav means upon him. Okay. King James, and the sun was going down and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. Yeah, I could see that. I can see why they would translate it that way. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Thick. They're translating Gedola as thick. I guess. Now the sun was ready to set. They're also saying it was setting. Yeah, Biat Hashemesh. I guess it shows up in other places in the Bible as well. I don't remember exactly where. And a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And behold, a fright, a great darkness. Ima, Chashacha Gedola. So that's how Rashi's doing it. We'll look at the Rashi's. A great darkness was falling upon him. So they put it in the present tense, and I prefer that. Rashi says Ema, Vehine Ema, an allusion to the troubles and darkness of the exiles, and he gets that from the Targumim. Apparently, both Targum Yonatan and Targum Yerushalmi say it similarly. And you can look in the Targumim if you like. They are available on Sefaria. Okay. Verse 13. Vayomer la'Avram Yadoa Teda. Ki ger yihye zar'acha be'eretz lo lahem va'avadum ve'inu otam arba me'ot shana. Okay, and Vayomer, right, said, this is the easier form of said, right, the lighter form. Le Abram, to Abraham. His name was still Abram at the time. Yadoa Teda. So, like I said before, this is the doubling of the language, which usually gets translated as surely, right? You shall surely know. Yadoa Teda. You shall surely know, right? Know, you shall know, right? Yadoa Teda. And this is a common form of emphasizing something. So that's why it's usually translated as surely. I mean, they're saying it's the infinitive absolute. I mean, this is a form that shows up many times, and this is the verb to know, da'at, right? Daled ayin hey, which is the root I would assign to it. Yadoa teda. Ki, usually I translate that as because of that here. Ger, they're translating ger as strangers. There is the verb lagur, right, to sojourn. We usually translate that when we're talking about the Exodus, right? That's that Jacob and his descendants went to sojourn, to be temporary residents, right? Ger, we also refer to people who convert to Judaism as ger, right? Somebody who they're translating as strangers. I'm not sure I would say that. Maybe visitors, maybe immigrants. Ger, however you're gonna, but yeah, I mean this is the root I would say is gimel vav resh, right? Lagur shows up in the Bible, and this shows up a lot of times. So exactly what ger is, honestly, usually in Judaism we don't even translate it. It shows up many times, and it's a very specific meaning that I don't think necessarily exists in the English specifically in that way. Yihye shall be, right? Zar'acha. Yihye is the imperfect third person masculine singular of the verb to be. Zar'acha, your seed. They're saying your descendants, right? That chaf at the end is yours. Second person masculine singular. Be'eretz. So, bet is the prepositional bet without an article, so that's why they're translating it as in a land, not the land. Be'eretz lo lahem. And if this was just talking about Egypt, I would have expected an article there. Ba'aretz lo lahem. In the land that is not there. Obviously, we refer to the Brit Bein Habitarim as a prophecy of all of the diaspora, right? In a land that is not theirs. Be'eretz lo lahem. Lo meaning not. Eretz obviously is the land. We've had that many times. Lo meaning not. Lahem. So prepositional lamed. Hem is the third person masculine plural. That is not theirs. Lo lahem. That is not for them. You could also say. Ve'avdum. So conjunctive vav. The root here is ayin bet daled, which we've said service, right? An Abed, a slave, is called an Ebed, right? La'avod, we talk about avodat habayit, we talk about the temple services, right? Which is the sacrifices that were done in the temple. The avdum, right? So avdu, avdu is the conjunctive perfect. They're saying because there's the vav, right? So the perfect is would be in the past tense, but it's getting flipped. And the vav tells you that it's the third person plural. Avdum, that mem is third person masculine plural. They shall make them work. Okay? Does that make sense? The avdum and they shall work for them. The avdum, they shall work for them. I hope that makes sense. But the root is ebed, right? Ein bet dalad. Ve'inu. So the root here is probably hey aleph, hey ein. No, they're saying ein nun hey. Okay, yeah. Ta'anit, right, is a ta'anit is a fast. To afflict. Ani is a poor person, right? Ve'inu, and they shall afflict them. This is, I mean, it is a verb that shows up many times in different ways in the Bible, many times. Let me see. Many times. 83 occurrences. So, inu otam, they shall afflict them. They shall cause them to be poor, maybe. They shall impoverish them, or like when you fast, right? What do you call that? Anyway, so that's the inu there. Otam, right? So this is two different ways of saying the same thing, right? The abdum, you could put that mem at the end of the verb as a suffix, or you can have a separate direct object marker and put the mem at the end of it. So this is two different ways of putting it. Generally, the way we darshan, the way we explicate the verses is if there's a direct object marker, it means other people will be involved. If there isn't, there isn't. So the abdum ve'inu otam. Arba me'ot shana. Arba is 4. Me'ot is hundreds, right? With the vav as usual. Shana is year. It's in the singular, but like we said before, the Hebrew does in the singular what English does in the plural. Let's look at King James. And he said unto Abram, know for a surety that Yodea Teda, right? So you shall surely know, Yodea Teda. It's in the present tense, that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Abdum, and they shall afflict them. Okay, yeah. NIV. Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. Right? Let's look at verse 13. And he said to Abram, you shall surely know that your seed will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will enslave them and oppress them for 400 years. And you can look at the Rashi's there as well, if you like. Verse 14, Vegam et hagoy asher ya'avodu dan anochi ve'acharechen yetz'u berechush gadol. So, conjunctive vav, gam, they're saying but. Yeah, I guess. Conjunctive vav and gum means also. I would probably just say and also. But I understand the but, yeah. Et is the direct object marker, obviously. Hagoy, the nation, right? Hey is the article. That nation, goy is singular. Goyim is the nations, right? Hagoy. And usually in the Bible, when it refers to Hagoy, the nation, it's actually talking about Israel, but here it's, at least on the most simple meaning, it's just talking about Egypt. Asher is the pronoun relative. Ya'avodu, so again, the root ayin bet daled, the yud puts it in the imperfect, the vav at the end, third person masculine plural, they shall serve. Dan, so the root is ladun, daled yud unknown. Or you could say daled vav nun. Daled yud nun or daled vav nun. Yeah. Either one works. Dan is the present part. It's the present form. It's the participle of ladun, which is it's an irregular verb, I believe. But it shows up. I mean, dan shows up, and din, and that shows up a lot in the Bible. Obviously, judgment. Yom Hadin, the day of judgment, right? Dan Anochi, and Anochi is the first person. It's saying I, but it's the more formal way. Ve'acharechen, right? So conjunctive of acharei is the preposition. The yud there, achar. It's always acharechen, and then, and after that, right? And afterward, they're saying. And after such, right? Chen means so or yes. And after that, v'acharechen, and after that, yetz'u, right? Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? The coming out of Egypt. Yetz'u, definitely a tzaddik and an aleph there. How exactly you want to put it? Yeah, it is in the imperfect. I would say that yud is part of the imperfect, putting in the future tense, obviously. And the vav is the third person masculine plural. What that third radical is up to you. Yetzeu. They shall come out. They shall escape. Berechush. So it's prepositional bet. Rechush. I think we've talked about rechush before. Resh chaf shin. which is a spoils or possessions, right? We talked about Avram's possessions. It's written without a vav. I think it's usually written without a vav. So berechush gadol and great, right? Gimel Daled Lamed is the root, right? To grow or to be great. And it is written with a vav, which I think Gadol sometimes is and sometimes is not, right? But here it is written with the vav. And King James, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. Okay? NIV. But I will punish. They're translating dan as punish. I would stay with judge. The nation they serve as slaves. So ya'avdun, right? So ya'avodu, they shall serve. They shall serve as slaves. I guess that makes sense. And afterward, they will come out with great possessions. Chabad, and also the nation that they will serve will I judge, and afterwards they will go forth with great possessions. And that's a very interesting Rashi on Vagam, and I am not going to read the other Rashis. Okay, verse 15. Rashi says Vagam is actually referring to the other, right? Vagam et Hagoy. So Hagoy represents Egypt. Vagam represents the other nations which will be judged. Ve'ata tavo el avotecha beshalom tekaver beseva tova. Interesting. Conjunctive vav, ata is you, second person masculine singular. Tavo will come. It is written milui with the vav. I'm not sure it always is. The taf is the second person masculine singular of the imperfect. The root is bet vav aleph to come, right? We just talked about that. El is the preposition with the aleph, not ayin. Avotecha, your fathers, right? Avot is the fathers. It's written bechisaron without the vav, which I would have expected here. Avotecha, your fathers, your ancestors, which is interesting because actually Abram's father was an idolater. So El Avotecha Bet Shalom. So prepositional bet, Shalom obviously means peace, right? Shalom is a very common word in Hebrew. Tekaver. This is the nifal. The root is Qof Bet Resh, right? Which means to be buried, right? A kever is a grave, right? Tikaver is the nifal form. It's the passive form. Obviously, you can't bury yourself. Tikaver, you shall be buried. Second person masculine singular. Beseva, so prepositional bet. Seva, whew. So this actually shows up in a lot of places. The root is sin bet he or sin vav. So they're saying sin yud bet. Sin yud bet, maybe. Yeah. Seva shows up a lot in the Bible. Seva shows up 19 times in the Bible, right? and it means to be filled or it means to be old, right? They're translating it as gray, old age, or old age. But sova also, I mean, the root is to, I think sova is written with the same, might be with a sin. Sova Hebrew. To eat. Savata, I think is no, it is. I think it's this. Let's look at translates from the English to the Hebrew. Satiate. Lahaspia. It is with a sin. So, yeah, to sate. I was right, which is surprising. Um, yeah, to be satiated. To be full. So I guess they're saying it's two different roots with lahaspia, but yeah, it is to be full, to right when you're hungry, vesavata, and you shall be satiated. Shows up a lot in the Bible. Wonder why they're seva shiva. That's different. Um, hmm. Anyway, okay. So beseva means old age, but it also means in fullness. Tova, right? Good. Tov is good. It's usually written with the vav bemilui completely. Tova is the feminine because seva is feminine, right? In great satiation or as an old age, right? Let's look at King James, verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. NIV. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. And Chabad, but you will come to your forefathers in peace. You will be buried in a good old age. Yeah, so Rashi says the same thing. His father was an idolater, and come to him. This teaches that Terach repented, and that is apparently from a midrash. So he was also reassured that his father. Okay. I mean, you can look at the Rashis there if you want. Okay. Verse 16. Vedor revi'i yashuvu hena ki lo shalem avon ha'emori ad hena. Interesting. So, conjunctive vav, dor, is written with a vav. I think it often is written without a vav as well. It's a generation, right? Lador vador. So dor revi'i and the fourth generation, right? Arba is 4. Revi'i is fourth. Yashuvu. So this is in the plural. Yashuvu, right? To return, and we discussed exactly, the root there's the shin and the bet. Shin vav bet, probably to return lashuv. Um, you know, there are many words which have very similar roots, and you can categorize them together in different ways. But yashuvu, they shall return. Henna, henna means there. Um, yeah, it says here hine. Well, yeah, I guess yeah, henna. See, henna, I'm usually is there. I think. Same here. Uh, henna, yeah. Hither, here. I guess here. Yeah, to return Yashubu Henna. I guess maybe it should be here. Um, Hither or thither? Okay. Henna, Yashubu Henna, they shall return here. Ki, because that's how it usually is. Lo means not. Shalem, so same root as shalom, shin lamed mem, means to make whole, right? Shalem means um, will not be complete. Um, it's an adjective here, yeah. Um, the root means to complete or to pay back, right? Um, when you pay somebody back, you make them whole, right? Um, shall not be finished, shall not be complete. Avon means sin, right? And Ein Vav Nun shows up many times in the Bible. Iniquity, however you want to keep track of the various ways of saying sin, this is one of them. Obviously, there are others in the Bible. Ha-emori, so it's the article, and emori, the Amorites, right? Ha-emori, of the Amorites. And as usual, it's written without a vav. Ad henna. Ad means onto, until. Henna means, again, same henna, until then. And this one is obviously talking in time, whereas this one is talking in space. And in Hebrew, time and space are related, which the physicists can tell you more about. But definitely in Hebrew, in the Hebrew conception, time and space are related. So Einstein plagiarized the Bible. I'm joking. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Okay. In the fourth generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. Okay? Chabad, and the fourth generation will return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites will not be complete until then. And you can look at the Rashis if you like. Okay, verse 17. Vayehi hashemesh ba'a va'alata v'haya v'hine tanur ashan v'lapid esh asher avar bein hagezarim ha'ele. Interesting. So, and it came to pass, vayehi, right, and it was, right, Same as we've had many times vehi before. It's the verb to be. Ha shemesh, the article, and the sun. Ba'a, right? That's interesting. And shemesh is masculine, but this is ba'a. I think shemesh is masculine. Yeah. Not sure why it's ba'a. Adbo hashemesh. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's ba'a. It might just be a paragogic hey. It might be, it could be in the feminine singular, or it could be a paragogic hey, which we discussed earlier today. The root is bet vav aleph to come, right? And so it's the same as we had before. Va'alata, and they're translating that as dark. Not a common root. I don't know this word very well. It shows up 4 times in the Bible in that way of uncertain derivation. Yeah. They're saying that maybe it's related to Allah Ayin Lamed Hey. I am not a big fan of that idea because the tet is a very different word. So feminine from an unused root, meaning to cover, dusk, dark, twilight. I guess. Okay. Va'alata haya, and there was darkness. Alata, I mean, uncertain of that word, maybe Rashi will say. And it was alata, right? Vehine, and behold. Tanur, a tanur is, they're saying fire pot. We usually translate it as oven. Tanur ashan, smoking. Yeah. Ain shin nun is smoke, right? There was the pillar of smoke in during the 40 years in the desert, and that was the Ashan, Amud Ashan, right? The pillar of smoke. Ashan velapid. Lapid, Lamed Pei Dalid. It's a torch. "14 times. A torch. Okay. Lamp, flame, brand. The lapid esh. Okay, so this is in a construct. Lapid, a torch of fire, a burning torch. Vehine tanur ashan velapid esh, asher avar. Tanur ashan velapid esh, asher avar, which had. So this was one thing. Right, esh means fire. Lapid esh, it's in the smichut, it's in the construct form, right? So tanur ashan is in the construct form, tanur and ashan, and I mean I think tanur shows up a bunch in the Bible. Tanur shows up 15 times in the Bible. So tanur ashan, an oven of smoke and a torch of fire, and it's apparently the same thing. Asher is the pronoun relative. Avar is in the singular, right? Ain bet resh. It's the same root as Ivri, as Hebrew, right? To cross, um, to go over, right? Had passed. Bein hagezarim, between. Bein means between. Ha-gezarim, so the root is Gimel Zain Resh, which is pieces, right? It's a much more common way of saying pieces than betarim. Ha-gezarim, between the gezarim ha'ele. So this had passed between the pieces, these pieces. Ha gezarim with the article, ha ele with the article as prefixes. Let's look at verse 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. Yeah, I guess. Var is in the past tense. Uh, when the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. Okay, Chabad. Now it came to pass that the sun had set. So we said that Ve'yihi hashemesh lavo, and the sun was about to set. And then we said, and then the sun had set. Va'alataya. Now it came to pass that the sun had set, and it was dark. And behold, a smoking furnace and a firebrand, lapid, they're translating as a brand, which passed between these parts. Rashi says, the sun had passed. The subject apparently does not agree with the predicate, Ve'yehi hashemesh ba'a, because shemesh is a feminine noun, Vayehi is a masculine verb. So Rashi explains this is similar to Genesis 42:35, and it came to pass that they were emptying their sacks, or 2 Kings 13, and it came to pass that they were burying the same is true in the two instances. The subject is plural, whereas the predicate is singular. There too, davar zeh is yehi. Oh, I see. Okay. So what Rashi is saying, so he's saying Vayehi is not agreeing with Hashemesh Ba. So Vayehi isn't actually going on Shemesh, it's going on the whole thing, right? The sun going down. I mean, it's very grammatical. I don't think it makes a big difference. It said, sure. Okay, you can look at those Rashis if you want. It's a very grammatical Rashi. I'm not sure it makes much of a difference in how we understand the verse. Okay, verse 18. Bayom hahu karat havaya et Avram brit le'emor lezar'acha natati et haaretz hazot min har Mitzrayim Ad hanahar hagadol nehar prat. Okay? So, prepositional bets with the article bayom, in the day, hahu, in that day, right? We've had this before. The pronoun is specifying, right? In that day, karat, the root is chaf resh tat, to cut, and this is the simple form of it. Shows up a lot to cut a covenant, right? Koret habrit shows up a lot in the Bible. Havaya is the tetragrammaton. Et is so they're saying it's the preposition bit. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's the preposition with, right? God made a covenant. He cut a covenant with Abram. I know that some people say that, because writing used to be engraving way back when, right? Before we had ink and stuff. And people would write by carving into clay and stuff. Um, that's why it's cut a covenant, right? To make a covenant is correct, is to cut a covenant. Um, so yeah, that's not the direct object marker. It wouldn't make sense, right? Um, with God made a covenant with Abram, Brit, right, which is a covenant, which shows up a lot in the Bible, obviously. And you can use your concordance there. Le'emor, saying, right, that is to say, and that's the softer way of saying. Lezaracha, so prepositional lamed, zera is seed, or they're translating as descendant. Yours is a second person masculine singular. Natati, so this is the call perfect of to give. Natati, I gave, right? I have given. This is the perfect form, and it's the past tense. Et is the, the direct object marker. Haaretz, the land. Hazot. So again, just like we had by Yom Hahu, we have Haaretz Hazot, this land, right? Similar type of construction. This specific land. Mi Nehar, Mitzrayim. So Nehar is actually in the construct form. Nahar we've had many times. It's river so it's in the construct form with Mitzrayim, with Egypt, and this mem at the beginning is a prepositional mem. So from the river of Egypt, right? Nahar Mitzrayim. That's one construct, right? One smichut. Ad is to or until. It's preposition. Ha Nahar Hagadol. So that's the article. Nahar means river again. Hagadol means the big one, right? The root Gimel Daled Lamed means to grow or to be big, right? With the article Hey. So to the great river, Nahar Prat. So Nahar Prat we've had before. Again, this is in the construct form. Nahar with Prat is one smichut, right? The great river Nahar Prat, the river Euphrates. And Gadol is written without above. I think that's normal. I think Gadol sometimes is with above, sometimes without. Let's look at King James. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. I could agree with that. NIV. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, to your descendants I have given this land from the Wadi of Egypt. Not sure where they got Wadi from. The footnote says, or river. of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Wadi. Not sure where they got a wadi. What? A wadi is a land formation in the Middle East, which is, I guess, like a valley, um, or a delta, maybe. Okay. Chabad. On that day, the Lord formed a covenant with Abram, saying, "To your seed I have given this land, from the river of Egypt until the great river, the Euphrates River." Um, you can read the Rashis if you like. And I believe this is the last verse of this. No, there's two verses. Penultimate verse. Et hakeni ve'et hakinizi ve'et hakadmoni. Now, this is a different listing than we usually have. And if you're interested, you can try to look up these types of things. But et is obviously the direct object marker. Kini, right? These are all like the yud at the end is like an it, right? In or we have Egypt and Egyptian. I guess it's called denomic or demonic, demonym. Um, it's the name. It's a name for the people of a land, right? So that's what's going on here. Hakeni, the Kenites, that's the same. The Et Hakenizi and the Kenizzites, right? Again, same thing. The Et Hakadmoni and the Kadmonites, or Kadmoni also means the first ones, the early ones. Let's look at King James, the Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Kadmonites. Or, there's two verses left. NIV, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadmonites. Okay. Rashi, the Kenites, the Kenizzites, and the Kadmonites. Again. And you can look at the Rashis if you want. Ve'et ha'Hiti, ve'et ha'Prizi, ve'et ha'Rephaim. So again, same construction again with the direct object marker and the name of the peoples of a land, right? So the Hittites and the Prizzites and the Rephaites. Rephaim, that's interesting. I think we've had Rephaim before. We've spoken about these people. Okay. King James and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaim. Okay. NIV, Hittites, Perizzites, and Rephaites. Chabad. And the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaim. And Rashi explains Rephaim as the same as Deuteronomy 3:13, if you're interested in knowing who the Rephaites are. Ve'et ha'Amori, ve'et ha'Kenani, ve'et ha'Girgashi, ve'et ha'Yebusi. These are the people that we recognize more. And the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. And there is a Setuma, right? That's what that Samach means. And there is a closed space in the scroll. Okay? King James and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. And NIV, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. So here it's 10 nations, whereas usually it's 7 nations. But and I'm guessing the Kabbalists have a field day with that. And the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. Okay. Hopefully this all worked out well for you. As I have always said, hopefully this will be a blessing in the way that Zephaniah 3:9 tells us. Ki az epoch el amim safa berura לקרוא כולם בשם הוויה לעובדו שכם אחד. For then I will restore or turn over El Amim to the peoples, Safa Berura, a pure language, Likro Kulam, so all of them one shall call Beshem Havaya in the name of the Tetragrammaton, La'ovdo Shem Echad, to serve him with one shoulder in one accord. Shalom.